We're good. We'll check the audio levels. All right. We're getting ready for race number 5, Oulton Park. It's going to be the challenge class, and I'm going to see how much practice I can get in. I think I got like 2 minutes before I can go, so. Whiskey ready. Practice not ready. All right. Cool. Got bot. No. Thank you. Let's see. All right. Cool. Let's get out here. Yeah, I do. It's gonna be hard to drink on this track because there's not a lot of straights. All right. Let's see. Let me double check audio. Make sure audio's good real quick before I get on track. Let's see. All right. Cool. Let's get into it. I think we got audio there. And then let's see. Live. We're going live.
2 minutes to go. 2 minutes.
There we go. All right, so I'll see if I can watch the chat here, I guess. Yeah, I can see chat there. Kind of. I'll do my best. All right, cool. Everything looks good so far.
The pit lane speed limit is 31 miles per hour.
Well, get a minute and a half practice.
You're still here writing
All clear on pit
SOPs?
exit. You
It's
can
the
push now.
weekend.
Yellow flag.
I'm screenshotting.
There's an incident
Every
in
single-
Dayton's. We think it might be
Why don't you
JM.
use Scribe? It creates SOPs in minutes. Just download Scribe. Click Start, do the process you want to explain, and Scribe automatically generates a step-by-step guide with screenshots and written instructions.
Oh, you know what I need to turn off is the background music.
Try
if I'm gonna
Scribe
have
and
this
replace
screen.
outdated manuals with smart
What I'm
documentation.
gonna have is the broadcast of the PCA race. Kind of helps me too. Kind of gives me a heads up on what's happening around the track. So
Icon has the tools pros trust. From wrenches to storage solutions, diagnostic tools, and more. Built to last and backed for life. Pick yours up today. Icon. Tool truck quality, unbeatable value. Only at Harbor Freight.
gotta pay them bills.
Turn heads in the totally redesigned Subaru Outback. Dog tested, dog approved.
Consumer Reports has named Subaru the most reliable and best overall automotive brand for 2025.
All right. Let's see if I can hold my own weight here, because end of the session. Let's see what we got here. Let's pull this up. Alright, so we got 3 minutes to the broadcast starts. Quali. This is what we got going on now is quali. So let's get in here. Let's try to do some quali. What I am going to do is turn off the I don't know what the hell's going on here. Let's see. Alright. Cool. Alright, let's go. Let's try to get some
All right, Patrick. We've got 3 laps to get the job done, mate.
Alright. Let's do our best. Let's get a solid quality lap in. be doing much drinking this race. Holy shit, that was contact. I better be careful with that during the race. I don't need any damages to my arrow. That's 2x on that, so. Get some heat in these tires and call it a day. Let's see. Ken Esker just taking pole so far. I'm trying to learn to be a little bit lighter on the wheel. Damn. It's okay. It's okay. I got 3 laps to try to make this happen. Alright, so it sounds like the broadcast is getting started.
Some trips are felt beyond words. No one connects you to the Pacific Coast like Princess. Princess Cruises. Book now.
The leader has just done a 133.90.
133 is what the leader just put down, so let's see what we can make happen.
Are felt beyond words. No one connects you to the Pacific Coast like Princess. Princess Cruises. Book now.
Alright, let's see. Probably like P11.
P15. You're now 3.1 off the pace.
Watching a bunny nibble a dandelion?
3 seconds,
so
bro?
Also, surprisingly satisfying. Learning the perks of a personal loan. Up to $75,000.
There's no way I'm gonna find 3
One
seconds.
smart payment.
That's
Okay,
crazy.
that was the practical part. Back to bunny nibbling this flower.
I gotta turn that video
dry
off. That's
eyes
pretty
most
distracting.
of my life. Once I started taking Blink Nutriteers
Let
at
me figure this
day
out.
16, my eyes were hydrated all day long. Blink Nutriteers works.
As we get ready for the PCA Sim
All right,
Racing
we're finding a
Series
little bit of
15
time.
Challenge class. See it all live here on RaceSpot TV. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is Ron Mons. And behind the scenes is our director, Hugo Ruiz. Ron, this is our driver's last chance of the 4 races we've had these 2 many legendary tracks in the UK. Master this place might just be among the most difficult and fearsome in the season based on the skills or masochistic will be left to say.
We're kind of in a small minefield right
Get
now.
ready for the PCA Sim Racing Series 15 Challenge
but quite
class.
intriguing race
I got
tracks
two on.
from our
Sorry,
perspective of the
TV.
broadcast.
I gotta
With not having
Joe
to
Peak,
worry
and with
about
me in the booth
driving and
tonight
mastering
is
these
Ron
tracks
Mons.
ourselves. We can
Behind the
enjoy the
scenes is our
fun little
director,
technical challenge of the
Hugo.
likes
Find it
of Long
sometime.
Beach, the
Ron,
likes of
this
Oulton
is
Park,
our
where we
driver's
are here.
last
This
chance
is a
of the
quirky
4 races
racetrack
we've had
in and
these
of
2
itself.
weeks
It makes
to
it very
try and
interesting.
master this
From the
place.
tight hairpins
Boy,
and
it's
chicanes to the
difficult
more sweeping and
point
broad
in the
bends,
season
and
based
even though
on the
this
tracks
track
we've
is a
seen.
bit on the cramped
I
end,
moved up a
still
little
has
bit.
we're kind of in a flat ad sections. I think it's a very intriguing track to start off the second half, but quite intriguing racetrack certainly from our perspective.
I'm gonna turn off the
They
second
do
one,
not
so
have
that
all
second one
worry
is
about
a
driving
while.
off this series tracks ourselves. We can enjoy the fun little technical challenge of the challenge last beach. Had a brilliant run to the first half here. This is a quirky racetrack in and of itself. It makes
Right
it
now,
very
Brad
turns
Dunn hopes
from the tight
that,
hairpins and
best
chicanes
is
to the
yet
more
to come
sweeping
here
and
for
broad
him, because
bends.
he's
And
leading
even
the
though this track is a bit
and
on the
he'd like
cramped
to
end,
keep it that
still
way.
has some very
130
quick
points
flat ad
over Vernon
sections.
Messer, so
I think it's
he's
a very
sitting in good
intriguing
position.
I lost
track
a lot
to
of
start
time
off
there.
the second half of
Probably the
stakes.
end of my lap.
Continue looking ahead to Suzuka, Road Atlanta, and
Make sure that he
Daytona to
doesn't
follow
slip up
before we
here
round off
before he
this
gets to the
Series
finish
15
line.
action here on the
That's another
PCA
big
on
jump back
April the
there down to
23rd here for the
Snyman,
challenge class. We've had a
as
brilliant
well
run
as
to
a
the
close
first half,
one between
but I still
Snyman
think
and
the best is
Markson.
yet to come.
Third, fourth, That right now, as we see
Damn.
Kaplan, that's
Falling back down.
to come here for him. You get a little bit of a championship jump down, and he would like to keep it another time. He's got 140 points over Vernon Messer, so he's sitting in a good position, right? Top 10.
Kind of distracting.
We've got qualifying underway. There are drivers that still have laps to go here. It's another big jump missing there down to having set a time so far. As well as a close 3 minutes. That means Marcuson not be able to complete fourth. 3 of their laps. Definitely one track position at this fifth place. It is proven so hard to pass. We'll go with another tie with Sports.
Yeah, and I can't necessarily say I'm surprised with that development, to be honest with you here, Joe. I mean, this track is narrow. You think of this track and you think of
qualifying underway. There are drivers
cars that tend to race here, either from the small little sports car variety, like those small little Genettas that they have in the UK, through to likes of Formula 4s and Formula V's. These cars are massive compared to what usually tackles this racetrack. So I can't say I'm too shocked that it's been difficult for these drivers. I got to see it just 1 week ago when I was on the broadcast for the club class action just a week ago here on Race Spot TV. It's been a tough nut to crack, both in terms of trying to get an overtake done and just trying to survive around this place. So if you can have an unobstructed view of that green flag in this 1 hour race coming up, I think that's already one step taken in that multi-step.
I keep forgetting how to use
try and
the
get a good
quality
result out of today's race.
So stupid.
Messer, one of those drivers who has completed all 3 of his laps, so he's just getting practicing at this stage. I watched Adam Holland cross the line. He improved on time, but stayed quick where he was in 24th. And now we're down to only 1 car that hasn't qualified, Garamani. I'm not sure if he's going to have time to get out there and do anything since they can't complete hot laps in this format. This is Alex Lidback in the meantime in the number 14. He's also taken all 3 of his laps. He sits in 11th spot at the moment, getting practice into pit lane in, since it is a bit sudden that it comes upon you. And this is Juan Fong down at the bottom of the field, sitting in 28th. As we switch over to Aguera, who is in 16th. Looks like everybody, I think, who is able to set a time has now completed it. So this last minute is just drivers putting a bow on it here today. What are the big keys for you during this race, based on what we've seen so far, Ron?
Well, I kind of alluded to it just a few moments ago, but surviving here is so important. One of the running jokes that I had on the air for the club class broadcast a week ago was talking about those small little tire bundles heading off through the chicanes, and now I make this joke a lot on the broadcast that I happen to be a part of. The tire bundles on iRacing are not soft and cuddly like a teddy bear, especially heading off through the chicane. You hit those, it is going to be a very abrupt stop. It reminds me as a kid going to Target here in the States and having my mom dissuade me from kicking the small little red concrete balls right out in front of the entrance so I wouldn't break my foot. That's pretty much what these drivers have to think about. You always are tempted to try and cut it very close, but if you cut a little bit too close, if you get a bit too flirtatious with those inside barrels, it's going to be a very abrupt stop indeed. So I think survival, even here in this qualifying session that we just grabbed the checker flag up,
welcome to the warm-up drivers meeting for the FIT Series 15 race at Oulton Park.
That pole
we
lap
have some quick reminders and bulletins here for you.
They have now
We're going back to a rolling start with this event, so remember not to advance to empty spaces. Fill the gaps from missing cars when forming up and pacing. Just maintain pace, car speed, and starting grid distances to the next car ahead. On the green flag, accelerate as much as the car ahead of you allows for.
Oh, and being fast here, this is a driver's track. You gotta be a good driver, and you gotta be patient to try and master this place. We start off with an old hole corner of turn number 1. Small little protuberance on the outside to keep these drivers on their toes, but you can't rest too easily as you have dents into turn number 2. Down through cascades of 3. This turn very tricky to nail down. You've got a lot of runoff area on the outside, but if you pick up a slowdown as you head your way onto the lakeside straightaway, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. This is Island Bend of turn number 4. Bend in the road before you head off into one of the best overtaking spots of the lap, but one that can easily end in disaster. That's Shell Oil's corner of turn number 5. Keep an eye on that throughout this race. Then you have another bend in the road mirroring Island. That's turn number 6. As you head your way off into the Bryn chicane
there will likely
tighter,
be
smaller,
contact.
and
There could
first
be an
of the
incident,
two back
and it
straightaway
will be
chicanes that
your
we
fault.
have here of this lap.
Also,
Small
drive easy
little
through the
run
local
down the
cautions
hilltop
and avoid
straightaway.
passing
Another heavy
until you
braking zone
safely
follows
clear
into
the
the
hazard.
Hislop chicane. A
Regarding
fantastic
comms,
spot to get him
please
moved up,
use
but
either
keep an
at
eye on those
driver
tire
or
bubbles.
at all
One
teams
smack of
in
them and
iRacing
your
Council
race is
Blue
going
Flag
to be
Review,
done.
as
Heading
these
off
are
now
the
to
only
one of
channels
the
live
best
race
turn
control can
names
hear
in
you
all of
on.
motorsports.
Repeat your
Nickelbrook,
request
love
if
that
you do
turn
not get a
number 12.
response from us.
That's Clay Hill,
Do
turn
not
13.
request
This is Water
iRacing
Tower,
black
turn
flag
14.
clears,
Love to have
and do
some
not
corner
request
names here. And here's
reconsideration
Druids,
or
though.
explanations
This
for
is a
live race control
challenging bend. You
penalties.
can see the elevation
Use the
change
radio
as you head your
only
way
for
under
essential
Warwick
driver to
Bridge out of that
driver,
turn, but the
racing
elevation
related
change isn't
exchanges,
done
and
yet. You have
refrain
the
from
final
calling out
heave-ho
other
of the lap.
drivers.
Lodge Corner
At the
and
end
gear
of all of
loop
this,
16
wait
and
until the
17.
track is
One thing
clear
I
as
adore
announced by
about this
live race
racetrack that
control
sets it
before
apart from some
using
of its
voice
other
comms.
contemporaries in the UK
This is
is
because
the stunning
iRacing will
amount of
report
elevation
races
change that
over
you have in
when
a
it's
very
not
short
over.
lap, and that's
But we'll
certainly
let you
going to
know
play a
when.
factor into
Good luck
how
out
these
there,
racers
and
decide
we'll
to
see you
tackle this
after
track
the race.
all throughout tonight's race.
Yeah, there's a lot of blind corners, or just like you said, it'll chuck you over a crest right when you don't want it in a big way. I think we got time then to go through our starting grid for today's event, as all but one having set a time should hopefully be pretty representative. As we mentioned, Leon Snyman on the pole position sees Chris Strankovic to his outside. You've got Tim Taplin starting from third and Justin Carney in fourth. Then it's Jonathan Susportis in P5 and Les Carmichael in P6. It's Vernon Messer on the inside of the next row. He sees Brad Dunn next to him. John Kaplan starts in ninth. Top 10 going to be rounded out by Jeffrey Block. Then it's Alex Lidback starting in 11th. Joe Birkenstock will be in P12. Dave Jones starts 13th today, followed by Bruce Robinson in 14th.
Dave made it ahead of me.
On row 8, it is Keith Markison in P15, Patrick Aguirre in 16th. Kenneth Eskridge starts 17th, and Robert Galais will be in the 18th position.
Right.
James Legault starts 19th. Harpreet Bath is in the 20th spot, and Sean Bailey.
The leader's just done a 136.
First, you've got Jack Stevenson flanking him. Lisa Eskridge starts 23rd, with Adam Holland in the 24th position. Last few cars are Adi McCune in 25th, Aubrey Iyer in 26th, and Sherry Lee in 27th. Juan Fong starts 28th. The only car to not set a time was Jim Garamani there in the 29th spot. And the car's now just getting a last little bit of warm-up, hopefully, to gear themselves up for today's race. One thing that we saw in the previous races, it seems, it's that mistakes can be a big factor in these races, Ron, either in losing you opportunities or gaining you them.
You know, this is an old school racetrack, but because it's old school, one small mistake and you can be absolutely done for here tonight. It could be running by your lonesome, or it could even be trying to get a move done on one of your competitors and have it end in absolute catastrophe. In that track guide I gave a few moments ago with our pole sitter Leon Snyman, I outlined some of them, but this turn, the first of the two chicanes, the Bryn chicane, I think is going to be one where a driver may try and sneak a wheel down the inside, and the results could be absolutely catastrophic. One quick little point, though, that I do want to outline before we get off into this race, talking about the dominant man throughout this season, who's going to look to try and get his fourth win and second in a row. Brad Dunn, your current championship points leader. Throughout this season, he's always qualified on the pole on the odd races. Grabbed the pole in the opening round at Mexico City. Grabbed the pole in round number 3 at Sebring. Here, however, for round number 5, he wasn't able to do that, and he is starting down in 8th. So that word that I said right towards the start of the show about the best having yet to come, maybe for Brad Dunn's championship competition, the best could be yet to come. Because even though it's still a good result, it is a little bit lower down than what we have seen in some previous rounds.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see, and this is not the place where you want to be out of position. So
they
start to grid up, Brad Dunn work his way forward from that 8th spot to get a good result, or is he going to see Snyman really start to encroach upon he and Vernon Messer in this race? This is kind of the do-or-die time for the number 993s, that he needs to make up those points, or else he's going to run out of those chances. They only get 1 hour block week
45 miles per hour.
Maybe Snyman has a 9-point race for Sebring, so he's already kind of under the gun. That's really not going to do him much good, although
there's Dave in the camo.
We take off on
Dave
our way
Jones.
towards the green flag here shortly. I'm excited to see how this plays out, Ron.
You're excited. I am slightly terrified as to what sort of shenanigans we may get here at the start of this race. The main point that I'm worried about, if I'm honest, is actually turn number 3. I know in the mid-sector we've got those chicanes, we've got the shale oils, hairpin,
so we're at
really
P16,
tricky turns
so we're
to worry about there. But turn 3 can be a bit of a silent pick in terms of chaos and craziness breaking out there. But I think on the whole, lap 1 is certainly going to be make or break for these competitors. If you break it, you're going to be back in pit lane with the meatball flag. If you make it, you're going to live.
They're still there.
You're right. 3 down into Cascades. We've seen a lot of drivers trip up there as well. Green flag is already out as they get on the loud pedal. Snyman gets a decent start. Drankovic hot napping initially, but he starts to catch back up as they come into the braking here at turn 1. Old Hall allows him to carry the speed around the outside. He's going to have the inside coming down into Cascades. That forces Snyman to back out, and now he might even lose second place. There goes Carney. He goes from pole to third in the first 3 corners.
And Carney, our pole sitter last time out at Long Beach, jumping up to second
already
as Drankovic
no, he's
drive off
behind.
into the sunset as they head their way off the island bend into turn 5 for the very first time. Gonna see some drivers think about going for a move. That was Tim Tatlin attempting one potentially only on Snyman. It's a good spot to get it done a little bit later on, but for now, these drivers are just trying to settle into a groove.
Brad Dunn had a pretty good start. He's already up 2 spots, and we're not even done with the first lap. See if he can make any more. Is up at the front. Carney's under attack for that second position. Snyman wants it back, but he breaks early. I'm willing to risk it on the very first lap around. Taplin's been watching from behind in that green and yellow machine. He could try and pick up the pieces if Snyman does make a move and it doesn't work out. But now they head back up the hill through Clay and into Water Tower.
Yeah, now heading into the final sector, these drivers getting the opportunity to stretch their legs, which really isn't saying a lot considering how twisty this final sector is either way. Drankovic certainly stretching out his legs with a comfortable lead right now. Carney in P2 still worrying about Leon Snyman. Now that we're getting into the second lap here, Joe, I suspect that these racers are going to feel a bit more comfortable about going for the moves. Now, it's still the difference between like a substitute teacher on the first day of the job versus the second day of the job. It's still not a lot of comfort, but it is a marked improvement over lap 1.
I have a feel for how this is going to play out, how those around them are going to be racing each other. Keith Markison in the 076, bit of a different line there in comparison to the car ahead, but still doesn't manage to make a move, at least at this stage. Let's see if he makes a wild dive down into turn 5 here, and yeah, he is way too far back on that one, but tries to swing it in from way outside here using the banking as he does his best to catch up to Alex Lidback in 12th.
Yeah, so keeping our eyes on these battles throughout the field. Drivers proving that even outside the top 10, they're going to battle scrape and claw for every single spot that they can possibly grab. This is one of those race structures. We talked about the problems with trying to get moves done here, how tricky it is to get an overtake completed cleanly and successfully without a lot of time loss either. This is a point where these drivers are trying to strike wild-eyed iron as hot and get these moves done before the field starts to spread out.
135.38.
Again, Eskridge, we're on board with Dave Jones just
slow in, fast out, keep the
inside line covered. See a close battle between Aguera and Robinson. That's for P14. Looks like Robinson was able to hold him back down into Druids and not able to get there down through Lodge, but now it's through the valley that takes you up over Deer Leap, and he starts to lose ground. Bruce Robinson doing a great job responding to that initial pressure. Looks like that is Markison and Lidback we were watching a little bit earlier that are just in front of these two as well. And they have certainly not spread apart either. So seeing a few drivers kind of pair up in these early stages.
48 minutes.
Yeah, starting to see some duos form all thread, including up in the front. You know how I said that Chris Drankovic had a comfortable gap? it was somewhat comfortable, only a second. Now it has gone down to about 3/10. It has fanned out since I started talking from a quarter of a second. So starting to see these margins seesaw up at the front of the field, and that's just a feature of this racetrack. Lots of braking zones, lots of challenging corners. So you're going to see those gaps fluctuate pretty much corner after corner, moment after moment here in this race. I want to ask you here, though, Joe, what do you think is going to happen first in this battle of the top 5? Do you think we're going to see these racers maybe go for a lunge, or are they going to maybe be a bit more analytical about this race? Do you think they're going to try and maybe potentially do a little bit of fuel saving? And I saw it during the club race 1 week ago. Could see it here in the challenge class.
Lap for Carmichael, 134.
It's hard to tell, but I think if they're smart, they need to be analytical because it is so tough to pass here. You need to be aggressive in that you got to take opportunities when they come, but you really can't throw it away here. And as we ride on board with Snyman, I can tell you that Taplin is close behind. And unfortunately, Harper's Bath is just slipped off track there in Cascades. And I think Lays was right at.
I could never wear gray. My white shirts would have yellow stains all over them. I always had the worst sweat stains and body odor. So I heard about Carpe from an Instagram ad. I was like, let me try this out. It ended up being the best deodorant I've ever used. Whenever I use Carpe, I feel so clean. I feel like I smell so good. I was in my microbiology lab class and we tested our armpits for bacteria. Out of the whole class, I ended up having the least amount of bacteria on my armpit. Try Carpe risk-free today at mycarpe.com.
How did Ken get so far back down? I thought he was pole. I wonder if I should put it in first gear there.
Is away already on lap 1, but turn 3 still definitely a bit of a menace here on this racetrack, especially with these heavier and bigger Porsche GT3 machines.
Dave's making a run on me.
These top 3 have been about equidistant apart. Taplin's dropped off a bit, but not significantly. You could still see him kind of hovering in the background. Alex, another similar distance back to Les Carmichael, who completes your top 5. He's doing his best to try and keep Chris honest ever since he took the lead at the very beginning of this race. We got a black flag. Interesting. Lap 3, it's been deemed that Chris Drankovic had a dive bomb into the number 11 and has been given never mind. It says the black flag has been cleared. I was going to say, I don't remember him having any sort of contact like that with anybody. So maybe that was just the wrong car that they highlighted, as I think James Legault just unfortunately had an issue because he disappeared from my time with scoring briefly. And here he is.
Oh, that's another peculiar one as well. It looked like
I'm trying to get around Bruce,
just looked like that rear axle decided to lock up as he pressed his way over the hill. We get to see Andy McCune with a black flag in the other 525 car. Was that potentially the driver that was deemed responsible for the dive bomb? Have they, has race control issued out?
Dave is living in my rearview mirrors.
They gave it to the wrong car. I'm sure Chris had a huge sigh of relief.
He's keeping me honest.
After a moment of panic there. So, interestingly, that Andrews already served that, so he was right on the ball on that one. But in and out, but he's to the back of the field because of it. Back to our front. It seems like Carney, Snyman, Drankovic just unable to get away from one another. They look pretty evenly matched at this stage, Rob.
Yeah, they do look to have pretty much the exact same pace. Certainly in some turns it tends to fluctuate, but this top a little bit stagnant for now, but we've right along with a driver that I think could maybe change up the status quo. It's our championship points leader, Brad Dunn, looking for his 4th win this season.
Went off track a little bit.
A little bit of understeer though, creaking in as he headed his way up to turn number 1. That shows you all the pitfalls around being at the tail end of a pack like this. The dirty air has got to be, well, there's no word for it to describe it other than disgusting.
Sherry Lee is the latest to get a black flag, and that's for an incident with the 525 of Andrew McCune. So Andrew's been on both ends of things, unfortunately. Brad Dunn, very shallow into Shell Oil corner. Still chasing on Les Carmichael. It does feel like a little bit of a train. You talked about it, these GT3Rs, not only are they rather heavy, but they've also got a lot of aero wake, and I think that's making it even more difficult to get close enough to attack.
He'll make a mistake.
Golly, when we were running on board a few moments ago with Brad Dunn as he headed his way off through Island Bend, you can see, I would captain to guess it was probably about 170 degrees of steering block put into that car just to get around that turn. Now that is at terminal velocity. I would say that is maybe the quickest turn on the entirety of this racetrack without any doubt in my head. I think
Ken's got some pace.
I'm close to it. It was turn number 2. That turn is super duper quick. You'd expect to make the most amount of downforce there, but the problem is every single car up in front of him is punching that hole in the air. So the air is just basically completely thin. I'm not entirely sure where this track falls in terms of distance from sea level.
Control. How did I get 4 infinite points when I didn't touch anybody?
In that train, with the amount of dirty air coming off the
I'll look
cars
it over
running in front of him,
see if I can get you an answer on that.
the air is probably thinner in that position than it was at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in
I let
Mexico
someone
City to
by,
start the
but
season
that was
off.
about it. We never touched.
Yeah.
Brief moment
Once
watching
in a while,
Dave Jones chasing Ken Eskridge for 15th there, but come back to Carney.
Of that,
we'll look at Drankovic once again. This is wow. This is definitely becoming quite a train because it looks like Taplin's now cut it down to about 0.6 of a second behind Steinman there in 3rd. So perhaps Chris, once he got that lead, has started to back everybody up. I don't know if he's managing his pace or if everybody just is a little bit quicker than him and can't seem to find a way by.
Damn.
And I will say as well, Joe, this is a point that just popped into my head. That battle for first graphic that we have down there in the bottom right corner, well, had there in the bottom right corner. I did not know we could cram that many cars into the graphic in one shot. 6 cars covered by pretty much nothing, and then you can tack on even more of them. The only real big gap that we have inside of the top 11 is the gap between Kaplan. Here we go, Carney breaking the trend and going for the move into the second to last turn. He jumps into the lead.
A mistake out of Druids from Chris, and that's all he needed. Justin Carney pounced on that one, and he is your new leader now. This will be something that Stanley can take advantage of. It doesn't look like he has initially, and I think things have settled in once again, so maybe that train has already passed him, as he does not manage to make a move. We ride on board with our former leader, now sitting about half a second behind Justin Carney. Carney's gotten by. Is he the quicker of the two? Will we see a gap start to form?
Now I got past that guy.
I do have to wonder whether that is the case or not. We saw
that
I
had faster pace than the guy
Chris Drankovic had completely disappear in the span of just a handful of laps.
What up,
and now he's the one running in second, and unlike the other 1 second margin that he had over Carney looking to extend that gap now to a second himself. So I think Carney may have had the pace advantage. Now, though, that Drankovic is the one feeling the effects of the dirty air. Is this just going to start like a snowballing thing for Chris Drankovic? He's going to lose out on the race lead, then lose out on second to Leon Snyman, and he's just going to drop farther and farther down. I'm about to make a fool on Alex right here. We see it a lot in races like this where the dirty air definitely affects these competitors and these cars a lot. One driver has that clean air for so long, and they feel good, and then as soon as they go off into the dirty air, they're done for. So really, this is trying times for that 009 car and Chris.
I got in the first gear. I shouldn't have done that. Damn.
This really messed me up. In and amongst this big train that's formed, though it seems like Carney has made good use of that clean air and started to stretch out. It's about a second and a half over the rest of them. Messer is sitting in 8th out of this. He's still got Jeff Block behind him, and from there, the train finally kind of ends. Sport is just a little bit farther up on top of things than Brad Dunn, our points leader that we mentioned. We're just about a quarter way into this one as one of our lap cars tries to get out of the way of all these fast cars, and what is definitely a scary part, they're coming through Island Bend.
Yeah, terminal velocity off through that turn, and although you can maybe go for a move, if the driver slightly misjudges it through their you're done. That is, there's really no bouncing back from that. But
what's going on here?
Some drivers be a bit bold and audacious. Here's one driver that's caught my attention throughout this season. It's Ken Espert behind the wheel of the number 77. We saw him pull off a gutsy strategy call in the opening race in Mexico City. Was able to make that entire race from start to finish without coming down pit lane a single time. Was also able to grab a win just about a month ago at Sebring, so he's really put in some good performances. But as that's been going on, Cass is broken out farther up the road. Brad Dunn, your championship points leader, running into trouble.
Shit, man, gotta get around this traffic.
He gets it going, and I think that was Knickerbrook where the rear of the car just did not want to grip. Eventually, he gets it pointed in the right direction.
I gotta get around this
boy,
dude.
That was
I'm gonna wait till we get on
down
straight.
17th now at this stage. So now we're starting to finally get some of the front runners making mistakes, seeing the difference that having a flawless race can make, as the 912 forces drivers to have to split them on either side. Les Carmichael giving a real scare coming out of Old Hall Corner.
Well done, Patrick. Great move. Keep it up.
Let's take a look at this easy spin to have all through one, stopping the worst position, imaginable. I wonder how race control will call that. You can see him cooking the turn a little bit too much, and then around he goes on exit. And be careful here, basically splitting them like a choose cone. That nearly ended in catastrophe for all parties involved.
Definitely could have been worse, and I'm sure he caused a little bit of ire from his rivals as Lidback gets overtaken as well for that 14th position by Dave Jones. Before things get a little bit too crazy, we want to take a quick moment to mention Princess Cruises, who is our PCA Sim Racing title sponsor for 2026. With 17 ships sailing to 345 destinations on 7 continents, world-class cuisine inspired by the places they visit, and the friendliest crew at sea, Princess is ready to welcome you on board. And specifically for PCA members, join the Treffin at Sea 2026 Pacific Wine Country Cruise on the Grand Princess, sailing from Vancouver to Los Angeles, September 19th.
Off the base.
Go to the website linked on the screen, pca.princesspartnerships.com, or call 833-679-2188 to speak to PCA Travel Concierge Agent. That's 833-679-2188. Well, as they carry on, I thought Carney was going to run away, but Drankovic has closed in just a little bit, enough to make sure that Justin cannot relax in this one. And Snyman has been clean as Taplin just continues to encroach upon them. He didn't seem to have the best of starts, but his car is getting better and better as this race unfolds. Does he have something that they don't?
Yeah, I feel like I'm losing my tires already.
And these drivers still attempting to figure that out for themselves, as we're just short of the first third of this race being completed. Wanted to raise, though, in reference to Bruce Drankovic. He's in a bit of a tough position right now, running in second. Now, a lot of drivers would kill to be running in P2 this early on in the race, but Drankovic is in a spot of bother at the moment. You've got Justin Carney right up in front. Carney has not really felt too much pressure since he got the move done on Drankovic. He's been running into just consistent pace. He's settled into the groove. Drankovic, meanwhile, has kind of hit a wall, and now he's starting to struggle. But look at that, Tim Taplin thinking about going for a move on Snyman, touching on the point that I was going to raise. Drankovic may be at risk of losing that spot on Snyman, so he's really feeling the pressure right now. Snyman is feeling the pressure too, as he nearly got a move put on him for third. He's going to say, nope, I'm going to prevent this meeting. I'm going to try and get him to second before I can get overtaken.
But they almost make contact with one another as it narrows up here in the Cascades. But that is Snyman back up in P2. Drankovic again making mistakes and costing themselves. This time it was out of P10 down through Lodge. Tim Taplin still watching on as they slide their way in. And we had a bit of an issue, I think, with Brad Dunn. This is into that same corner. Shell Oil trying to make a move. Almost looks like the door may have been shut a little bit on him. I'm not sure how the stewards are going to see it. But there was contact. He did wait for the car to get going. Well, I guess he had enough of waiting because eventually he went by.
Yeah, I think he's already been given a penalty for that, which is unfortunate. I did see when I saw that replay, looked like he hit a bump offline as he headed his way out of Island Bend right before Shell Oils. Looked like he hit a small little choppy part of the racetrack right as he was trying to get that overtake done. That could have contributed to it slightly. Maybe the reason why he drifted off into the side, but either way, Slicer Race Control divvying at that penalty. But the drivers had an exemplary start to the season. Probably going to be excited to leave the UK here for this round.
This is exactly what Brad did not want in this race. I said he can't trip before the finish line. And unfortunately, he's starting to falter a little bit. Sitting in 21st, still has his pit stop to go. Here's on board with Brad Dunn. He's trying to make up for things as he's already reached the back of Harper Bath and Keith Markison now. And Bath, I think, has got a good run, but no place to take it as he almost gets squeezed. He's going to force the issue up through Water Tower into Druids. This is another difficult place on the track to go wheel to wheel. He does sneak by, and that'll give the 915 19th place.
Brad Dunn getting a fantastic view of that squabbling going on right in front of him. How long until he tries to pounce? It may be about now as he's trying to get the move done on that car. Stalling out on the momentum is actually coming down pit lane is Keith Markison. Interesting call to do that right as he comes across the pit speed cones. 40 minutes still left in this race. Yeah, actually, one point I do want to raise is we see a little bit of damage be repaired on that car. Could have been the reason why he decided to come down pit lane when he did. Joe, I'm not sure how much you've seen it throughout the week, but I know I saw it last week. Drivers having to reverse to get into some of the first pit stalls on pit lane. It is very cramped conditions in the pit lane.
Yeah, you got to be very aware of where that pit stall is going to be. You don't always know it in iRacing if you're new to the sim.
Ken's coming.
It is placed based on where you qualified, and it loops back on itself. And this is a track notorious for having very few pit stalls. So I think it only goes back to something like 20.
Get away from Ken
With 29 cars, you don't have to be very far up the order before it goes back to the front once again. So you can miss out. Tim Taplin still sits in 4th, but now he's the next one that has to try and tackle the 009. It's been a bit of a backwards motion for Chris Strankovich up to this point. Can he stop it before Tim is able to give him another dose of this medicine?
Yeah, I think Taplin is certainly smelling a little bit of blood in the water, but whether he is going to try and get this move done with urgency or not, we'll have to find out. Certainly Taplin, in the position that he has run throughout this race, probably able to get some good fuel saving done even now, but it does reach ahead, and I think we are getting to that point right now. The gap between Leon Snyman and Chris Durangton, and bearing in mind those two were running nose to tail and side by side, only a matter of a handful of laps ago. Now 2.2 seconds. So Tim Taplin, I think if he senses an opportunity, you know darn well that he is going to try and pounce on it, get that move done, so he can have a hope of catching up to those racers that are running farther up the road in 1st and 2nd, who may very well find themselves in their own battle here in due course.
This is our leader, Justin Carney. Snyman, nice recovery. It looked like he also wasn't going to have the best of days, considering he started on the pole and went all the way to 3rd. But he's within about a second of Justin
off track
at this point, getting closer to that halfway mark. If he can keep within range, maybe if the car comes alive by the very end,
defend your position. Don't let him through.
He could try and start to attack and retake what could be a win. There's a long way to go before that. There's a lot of ifs and whats before we discover who is going to be in the position to try to take that victory. Ooh, very aggressive down on the inside there, Ron, as he kicked up some dirt after hitting the curb. Oh, we got somebody off his course. That's Lidback.
Lidback, the latest racer to run into troubles heading off through the roller coaster ride, heading out of the final turn, and there you can see it, drops it on exit, hits the inside wall as well. That looked like a pretty firm hit against the bodywork. I'm not sure if there was any suspension damage done there as we take.
The Whataburger Monterey Melt is back? You've got some nerve
showing
up with all beef patties, grilled peppers, and jalapeno ranch. Oh, we just missed you, that's all. Whataburger Monterey Melt is back. Download the app. What a burger!
I need to probably be able to listen to these tires because those
My
tires
eyes
are telling me a lot.
dry and uncomfortable, looking for extra hydration. Now there's Blink NutriTears. It works differently than drops. Blink NutriTears is a once
I need
daily
Dave to put that pressure on Ken.
hydrate from within, helping your eyes produce more of their own tears. To promote lasting, continuous relief you'll feel day after day. Try Blink NutriTears. A different way to support dry eyes.
Make him do all the work. Focus on your exits.
That's a brilliant move from Tim Taplin. Don't see a racer go
the,
around the outside.
PCA series. It's the first Club of
Nearing the
America.
halfway mark, you gotta wonder how the situation is there on the outside of the track with the tire marbles and the dust and everything built up there. Taplin,
Go to PCA simracing.com, and it'll have like kind of like
to try and catch up
guidelines
to
of what you need to do
catch up.
to get in.
Really gonna have to play catch up.
You do have to be a PCA member though, so
4.2 seconds not too long ago. Well, 2.2
and they have
seconds.
like
it's now
if it's your first time getting into the series, it'll be a
that gap
free, I guess, to do these races, and then like
but
next
he will
year
have
you'll
the
have
opportunity to
to
catch
pay for
these
like this thing
racers
called
up
Grid
at
Pass,
a rate of speed,
and
as they are
that's
starting
gonna
to battle.
enable you to get in these races.
It's
fun though, and they're pretty good. They got a really good point system.
I think
really
Leon's
good
going to have to
penalty
be
system.
smart about this. He doesn't
So they try to keep
try
it
and
pretty fair. So
poking his nose,
probably
costing
about
them
as
time,
fair as the
allowing
races you'll
Taplin
ever get.
to become a bigger factor in this. It's so much harder trying to defend and attack at the same time. So just focus on one thing. Leon Steinman again taking a big look coming down into Lodge Corner. Just isn't close enough to actually try a serious move. They've got lap traffic in front of them. That's Bath, who's one of our early hitters. And he could cause a bit of a complication as well. Losing time isn't just with battling with other cars, but also trying to lap them around this place.
Jesus.
Yeah, that overtaking game, it's one that everybody has tried to master here with varied degrees of challenges thrown into the midst of that. So this lap traffic encounter going to probably decide how this battle goes. Carney gets it done comfortably before Island Bend. I think Snyman was running a little bit more by the seat of his pants there, but he did get it done. As that's Vernon Messer running into troubles. He's not alone though. That's himself and Jonathan Susportas, and it looks like they came to blows. Just look at the field cutting their way through.
Oh, wow. Having to slalom their way past the stop drivers. That was a bit of a strange one. It looks like Sean Bailey's the latest to head to the lane. As we watch Dave Jones, he was one of those that kind of managed to find an opening as two drivers came back onto the course from either side of the circuit. Dave up to 10th place now, gained about 3. Ken Eskridge up 8. But again, we've had a few drivers that have either had issues or have taken their pit stop early. Both of them, just having problems there and eventually making contact before they have to.
Is it hard to hear with the broadcast? Sorry about that. Yeah, I need to work on that audio.
Gap still remains at about 4 seconds, so they haven't been caught, or at least not much.
Oh, as I can see Leon Snyman end up in the barrier as he headed his way out of the second to last turn.
Sector 2 is
strikes again, Joe. We've seen it already hurt drivers throughout this race. Unfortunately for Steinman, our pole sitter.
I appreciate you watching, brother. Yeah, but I'll give you the details.
I think probably heading right to pit lane. No, he's going to carry on. Interesting. Seems to think the car can handle fine enough at this stage. He was right at the pit entry. He could have taken it if he wanted it. And yeah, we've seen this a few times already. You're right. That Lodge Corner just catches so many out the way it drops away on the exit.
Yeah, an easy mistake to make, to be sure, and a pretty solid whack against the barrier. Didn't look like there was any major visual damage, but looks can certainly be deceiving. Leon Snyman staying out for another lap, carrying on. Oh dear.
And Carney, I think, just had contact with a lapped car who was trying to get out of the way and then braking, but it all kind of, unfortunately, was a miscommunication.
You're in the site now? All right,
between them out there.
Yeah,
so
check it out.
A strange one. Vernon Messer.
And if you got any questions, I'll answer.
Given a black flag for the incident on lap 17. So he'll have to come and do a drive-through. Yeah, just about got underneath him. Could not quite get by in time, clips him and sends him around.
right. Let's see.
Also, looks like lost Jeffrey Block due to internet
That lap was at
connection.
1:35.
Now, right. One driver have something completely out of their hands, and another driver also completely out of their hands, finding their races compromised in two very different ways. But
okay,
back
Patrick,
up and
don't let this
over
guy distract you.
Dearly once more as we watch this fight between Aguera, Eskridge, and Jones. This is now for 6th position.
And drivers with some very different backgrounds as to how they found themselves in this situation. Some drivers scything their way through the field, making up a ton of spots. Others just treading on water at the current moment. We ride on board with Dave Jones, the tail end of this battle, maybe sensing an opportunity on Eskridge as he had a little bit of a sideways wiggle all through Island Bend. He's going to hold on to P7 for now, but gotta wonder whether these racers are going to tempt fate in this battle quite yet. We still have those pit stops not too far off into the future here, Joe. If it were me out there on the racetrack, I would maybe hold on. I would be past in my attacking. I would say, okay, if the opportunity sees fit and I can go for a move without really risking it too much, then I'll pounce. But otherwise, I'm probably just going to lay back and take it easy. But again, very good reason why I'm behind the microphone instead of behind the wheel. One force that may cause these drivers to battle, though, Leon Stuyven, he's still out there on the racetrack with that banged up 993 car, running at 9th and rapidly closing in.
Nice move by Les Carmichael out of Knickerbook with a better exit. That'll bump him into the top 10. You know, it's kind of interesting looking at our points leaders. Brad Dunn, he's having a bad day. Second in points, Vernon Messer, he just got penalized. He falls back down the order. Leon Snyman, an incident. We see him fall down the order. Keith Markison, he's not been having a good day at all. He's already been way back down the order for a long time. Kenneth Eskridge, the driver that's sitting in the best position right now to capitalize on this. He is at 7th, and then behind him in points is John Captain, who sits in 4th. So there could be a huge swap around up towards the sharp end of the points.
And considering we're only just now getting into the second half of this campaign, there's still a lot of racing left to go for these competitors and some awesome opportunities to close up any sort of holes that they find themselves in championship points.
I need to figure out how to do these pit stops.
This could be the start of a very intriguing conclusion to this season here in the PCA Challenge class. Always
now we found some time. Look at that, we're in the green, baby.
It presents some really unique championship fights, really unique campaigns, even though dominance can be something that you see quite often. We looked at the season finale we had last season, Series 14, really close championship showdown where Ed Trippin was able to grab the crown when everything was said and done. The path to get there for him was far from straightforward, even though he did grab
10 minutes of fuel remaining
throughout that season. It was a fascinating campaign. Here, it's already been very fascinating. It's certainly been the Brad Dunn show to this point, but again, we're only just now getting into the second half. There's still a lot of racing left to go and a lot of unanswered questions, both for these drivers out there on the racetrack.
Keep it nice and tidy.
About 15 more minutes, maybe a little less than that, available in the pit window before the drivers will have to come in.
Come on by here on the left.
In the previous couple races, we have had drivers kind of go an extra lap because the leader was so far ahead of everybody else. Something they might need to keep in mind, especially since Justin Carney
There's an incident
now is about 3.5 seconds up, although that's nothing compared to what we've seen with some of the others a little bit earlier with gaps as big as 20 seconds in some cases. Dave Jones still working on Ken Eskridge, but that's for 7th spot. And Ken has also got Patrick Aguera just in front of him. There was a car off there. I think that was Jeffrey Block, so he was a lap down. And we got another one off. I think that's Lisa Eskridge. And she'll return to the track after Cascades gets it going once again.
I will say, every single time I see that Powerpuff Girls paint scheme of Lisa Askridge, I feel like I'm the only person in my generation that actually watched Powerpuff Girls, which is a little bit sad. That was an awesome show as a kid, but I guess Gen Z, it just wasn't too popular with us. But regardless, unfortunate moment as well for Jeffrey Block. He's going to find the barrier. That is a very far way to skid off the racetrack, considering how slow the speed he found himself in, as there was Lisa Askridge off in a cascades of turn number 3, that downhill braking zone in these cars. Even with the ABS that they have, super tough, but she was kind of forced into that situation with a slow car there right on the apex. Askridge very lucky to get away with that.
I don't know if the Audi counts, but I'm sure there might be an Audi league. I don't know.
A good deal of runoff to the outside to save dirt bacon today. Meanwhile, this is Robert Galaise with Jim Garamani just behind him. Jim's had a pretty good race considering he did not qualify, up 12 positions so far. Wow. He still owes us a pit stop, mind you, and I think about 6 cars have stopped at this stage, at least those that are still on track. We've lost Jeffrey Block, Aubrey Iyer, and Andrew McCune up to now.
Damn.
See, that's Jim Garriman slowing down. I wonder if that's a slowdown potentially at effect as he headed his way down that start-finish straightaway. Not lap traffic involved, though we are very close to that. Here's Justin Carney, a race leader, heading his way off into turn number 1 right now. That's something that we haven't seen too much of here, Joe, but the slowdowns can be quite brutal around this racetrack.
I'm not sure where you would have that up as a thing.
Okay, Patrick.
I wonder if that was just a survival technique, because he was being approached by Brad Dunn.
Can that work?
Go. I know Brad's a pretty fast driver, so probably initially for the 241, just deciding he's probably worked up from a bad day and is trying to fight his way back. As we did see, it looked like Justin Carney is, now we're over to Brad Dunn. It looked like when we were briefly on Carney, he had a bit of damage on the nose of the car. So I wonder if that is from the contact that I saw him have with the lapped car. So we'll take another glance at the 292. Let's see as he steers over. Yeah, there's a little bit of a dent, but it doesn't look that bad now that I get a better look at it.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's rough for the conversation.
Bill, what's going on, brother?
I'm
running P6 right now.
Right before an Easter bunny photograph back when I was 3 years old. Small little dent, no problem.
I'm struggling with the pace, though. These guys got running like 133s, I think.
Messer emerging back to the track as
you were in portrait?
A good look at the damage. I don't think that'll hurt him too much around here. It is a bit of a high-speed track. In a
I wish I knew about the tires. How to take some tires.
Significant enough.
All right, we're in P5 now.
It'll start to lose pace. In the meantime,
the lap time
back
was
to
Aguera,
leading ahead of Eskridge. Dave Jones got a good run. Is the 313 going to take a peek? No, he stays in line. Eskridge will retain that 7th position. Meanwhile, cars in front of them taking stops, including Taplin. Looks like Drankovic is in as well.
Right,
there's 2 of our top 5 runners.
Yeah, so the pit stop's starting up now. This racetrack is one where I feel like you can throw a bit of a strategic curveball here compared to some of the other ones that we've been at. And certainly with the train action that we saw at the start of this race, where everybody running in that own neat little pack, everybody probably had the good opportunity to get some fuel saving done if they found themselves a little bit farther
seems to be happy there.
So it's maybe part of
when I hit traffic.
These racers have come down pit lane first to try and have a shorter stop, shore themselves up to make it to the very end and try and jump ahead over your competitors.
I think
through pit lane, because
the pit stop is coming up
such
very
a
soon for
throughout this race.
Like I think we got maybe a lap or 2. I'm gonna go one more lap.
For him, a little bit of lap traffic in front of him. I think it's Alex Lidback. And we're watching Dave Jones as he goes through his lap chicane.
Gotcha.
They continue to be promoted up position by position, either by others' mistakes or drivers finally taking their pit stops. Ware has been dealing with this pressure, I have to say, pretty admirably. We haven't been watching it fully, but I don't remember seeing any major mistakes out of the 981 up to here.
P4, you We've just done a
I think it's been a very composed drive from Aguero. We haven't talked about him too much throughout it outside of this battle, this pack that he's found himself being the Pied Piper of with himself, Eskridge, and Dave Jones, who's now going to break away from it and come down pit lane. It's been a composed drive from him, quietly lurking in the background as he nearly comes to a full stop before he heads his way into pit lane. But I think if you can leave this race saying, hey, they didn't talk about me on the broadcast at all outside the battles I was involved in, the drivers can count that alone as a victory.
Yeah, this is not one where you want attention typically. As we come back to Snyman, and it looks like he's made up a little bit of the ground that he lost from his earlier mistake. He's caught up to Eskridge here, and we'll see whether or not he can make a pass out of this. Usually you need a pretty significant pace advantage over the other cars if you want to be able to make a move. So hopefully he should have that, as he did start higher up the order. Before this starts to kick off, though, we want to give a quick mention to Princess Cruises, our PCA Sim Racing title sponsor for 2026. With 17 ships sailing to 345 destinations on 7 continents, world-class cuisine inspired by the places they visit, and the friendliest crew at sea, Princess is ready to welcome you on board. And specifically for PCA members, join the Treffin at Sea 2026 Pacific Wine Country Cruise on the Grand Princess, sailing from Vancouver to Los Angeles, September 19th to 25th. Go to the website link on the screen, pca.princesspartnerships.com, or call 833-679-2188 to speak to a PCA travel concierge agent. That's 833-679-2188.
I gotta do this pit stop right. I cannot let Ken get in front of me during this pit
Justin
stop.
Carney, our leader up to that point, has decided it's time. Looks like John Kaplan as well. Aguera, Eskridge, Carmichael stay out.
The next car is a lap behind.
And so broken up still in this call to come down pit lane. Everybody throwing something different at the wall, seeing what could stick. With everybody's varied path to get to this point in the race, I still can't say that I'm surprised with everybody being a little bit broken up in terms of when to come down pit lane, what to do in the pits. Here's Leon Snyman, who's had probably the most wild ride out of anybody in this race. Started from the pole, dropped down to third, made his way up to second, was battling for the race lead with disaster struck, heading out of the second to last turn. He's now looking to dust himself off and try and do a little bit of damage control here. You know, there's one person that could be happy about that moment there from Leon Snyman, Joe. It's Brad Dunn, who, let's face it, has not had a good night
I've never
himself,
done a
but as long as the competitors that he's dealing with in terms of that championship can have a bad night too, he won't be leaving this race too sour.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, Dunn is sitting in 15th, whereas Snyman is in...
Man, yeah.
Front left, 83%. Rear left, 88%.
Tires, bro. Alright. Fuck, man. That guy undercut me so bad. I didn't even know where my pit stop was at. I should have did a pit stop to kind of know. Alright. I'm in P6 right now. I gotta get out. I gotta get out. Come on, 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 come on.
Thank you.
P8.
Left. Still there. Clear to your left.
About the difficulties trying to get a move done, the prospect of overtaking somebody through the pit strategy, through pit lane, not having to worry about being a last late breaker, going for a dive off into one of these turns and potentially running into trouble. It's a very tantalizing prospect indeed. If somebody handed you a $100 million bill, if they even made those, you wouldn't necessarily turn it down now, would you?
Thanks, Bill.
No, but
just trying to keep it together.
Right now, Tim Taplin is looking not to turn down a gift horse in the mouth, because I just realized, wasn't it about 4 seconds between himself and Carney? It's now down to 1.5, and they had just about the same pit stop times, it looks like. So interesting that that 23 car just seems to kind of sneak its way into things when we aren't looking as Bruce Robinson. Unfortunately, found his way into the Armco down through Cascades.
So all the way down to P8.
Yeah, turn 3 strikes again, but talking about Tim Taplin, even though their pit times were roundabout similar,
Leon's
I think Taplin
behind me,
may
too.
have had the opportunity to do
to
some
push.
fuel
There's a couple
savings. I
positions
wonder
right in
what
front
the
of me. I
fuel
gotta get
situation
this.
is for Justin Carney, whether he's trying to do a bit of fuel saving just to make it to the end. If that is the case, that could end absolutely catastrophically for him. It has plateaued, though, around about that 1.5 second margin. We've still got 16 and a half minutes of racing action left to go. So if Tim Taplin plays his cards right, he can very easily jump into that race leader, at least close up that gap to try to rattle Justin Carney at least just a little bit. If you can force a driver in front of you into some sort of mistake, that could work out fantastically for you. Talk about not getting done out there on the racetrack through the pit strategy. It's even sweeter when you see that driver just barrel off the track right in front of you. Well, not sweeter, but yeah, it's still a move done that he didn't have to put a lot of energy into.
The next car is 1 lap behind.
All right, P7. So somebody took a pit stop.
9th position. Oh, but just as we cut away from him, he just had an incident actually, and it's a big incident. And I think he collected a few cars in the process. Once again, it is cascades.
The problem is the cars that I'm battling right now, they're all faster than me. Like they all did better than me in quality.
Major contact. In fact, he's unable to continue. I can tell you that he just towed.
That's the battle that I got going on.
Meatball flag just went wide.
In a pack with
coming
people that are just
and unable
significantly
to
faster.
avoid. Oh, and he didn't hold the brakes.
15 minutes left.
I know the worst part is I think he may have been holding onto the brake pedal, but the ABS in these GT3 cars may be just coming back to bite him in the worst possible time. That's the tricky part about turn 3. We have seen that kind of be a consistent trend back in this race. Not only the incidents going down through there, but also driver overshooting it down into the braking zone, clipping the grass on the outside, staying out there, and eventually the cruise control around you go. But as we were thinking that battle up the front was maybe starting to cool off, it's heated up once more. Taplin is now within a half a second of Carney closing in.
Just keep it smooth, no mistakes.
There's a definite ebb and flow. It went from 1.2 up to 1.8, and now in a flash, it is down to 4/10. I don't know if any of that was affected by lap traffic because there is a fair bit out on the circuit. But whatever the case, there goes Carney wide, and Taplin is going to take the lead now. From 3rd to 1st since the start of this race, Taplin has just been quietly doing his thing, and we said not making mistakes could make the difference. I think we've seen very few out of this green and yellow car.
When Carney hopped the berm as he headed his way into turn number 5, he just went too heavy into the turn.
Here he comes.
Overshot the racing line.
Leon's got some pace, man.
Drop the anchors more and more to avoid completely bouncing out of the banking and hitting the wall. Small little patch of runoff area there on the outside of the turn, but it's not going to do much to stop a heavy Porsche GT3 car. So Carney, big mistake for him, costing him at the worst possible time. I just talked about the matter of a driver getting a move done through a mistake from one of their competitors, forcing the issue there. That's pretty much what we just saw there. Tim Taplin applying that pressure expertly on Carney, and look how worked that into the race lead goes. He's now looking at
right side.
I let him go.
You're right.
Leon pressure.
Carney's been fast from what we've witnessed so far. Birkenstock, you talked earlier about drivers not wanting attention. He's one of those for sure. I'm not sure that we've really shown that.
I won't really fight too much.
And yet he's running a top 6, having started in at 12th. He's chasing down Kaplan to see if maybe he can make it a top 5. In front of them, though, Ken Eskridge, his fuel saving has worked out a treat. He had the shortest pit stop time, barring Brad Dunn, down to 12.7 seconds.
Ken Eskridge went an extra lap, didn't he?
Put him out in 4th place, having started 17th.
He did that.
So this is an amazing race for a few drivers and one to forget for others.
Yeah, it's certainly been a mixed bag for these competitors. I'm sure the opinions about this track will be quite mixed too. I know from some of the chats that these drivers have been able to give, the insights they've been able to give at the end of this end of these broadcasts. They've been kind of mixed on expectations heading into this race and their thoughts on this combination. As we said very early on in the show, Joe, you don't usually see these big of cars
running around this racetrack. It's like putting a Formula 1 car on a go-kart track. It's a very odd combination, this. You know, not as extreme, but I think the point remains regardless. These are big cars on a very small racetrack, very challenging, very cramped. Drivers have been able to cope with the challenge for the most part, even with a couple of incidents every now and then. You usually expect this combination to usually end in a scrap heap of race cars collected in the end.
Just keep it smooth, no mistakes.
It's very old school, that's for sure. And we've jumped back to Leon Snyman. He's done a good job recovering on this one. He's up to 8th position. Patrick Aguirre in front of him, we knows how to deal with the pressure from those behind. It seems like his entire race has been dealing with the cars behind him. You can see that pit stop time. That's because Les Carmichael was given a black flag for that incident that he was deemed the cause of down through Cascades. Back to Birkenstock, just up the road. And Kaplan continues to experience a lot of pressure from behind himself for that top 5. Not likely to see a pass here coming into Britain's. Let's see who gets the better exit out of the chicane, and it looks like that's going to be Kaplan as he scoots away.
Come on, I got to catch these boys.
Yeah, getting a good exit onto that straightaway. That first chicane, it is an odd ride, Joe. I'm going to ask you this. Have you ever had an experience running through that first chicane? And if so, what are your thoughts? I feel like there's some odd sort of like love that I feel towards that chicane. Now, I'm not sure if it's Stockholm Syndrome or what, but I do like that first chicane.
10 minutes to go. That's 10 minutes left.
I will be honest, I don't like either of the chicanes here. This is one of those tracks where I love calling races at it because they're usually entertaining. I hate driving.
Guys, see,
I could definitely leave
the
this place and
broadcasters.
leave it camp as Snyman just about takes that 7th place from Aguirre, but wasn't close enough down the launch.
Damn it.
Nearly running into disaster, running the second to last turn. I don't think Snyman's a fan of that section of the racetrack, and if that incident took place there between those two, I think those fears would have been turned even more. But yeah, I gotta say, Joe, there's some tracks that I absolutely love covering the action of, but I cannot stomach driving around myself. But I adore this track. That first chicane, certainly my favorite of the two.
I'm about to let him go just so he can
excited to
apply some pressure.
Place. We nearly had our second in contact between Snyman and Aguirre, heading out of turn number 3 and into turn number 5. I think these drivers are just trying to give us a panic attack.
I mean, Snyman probably had a panic attack right there. That was some wild stuff. Nearly running into the rear of Patrick Aguirre coming into the turn 5 hairpin. Backs away just a little bit, maybe unsure of what's going to happen with that car in front. That car that you see behind is in 9th position, so that's the good news. Their battle is well out of range of Susportus, who's the next one down the road. So Leon's free to attack here in these final 10 minutes. That's if he can make a safe overtake, but because, my goodness, he just about lost his nose a couple times in one lap.
P7. That was
I'm not sure how Leon Snyman's feeling about the braking zones throughout the rest of this race, but still see a little bit of front end damage on that race car. The hood and the front bumper crinkled up a little bit. The side profile shot just looks so bad. The poor car looks like it got hit in the face with a frying pan. Snyman still holding on to 8th at the moment, but trying to find if he can find anything left to get a move done on Aguirre here soon. We are getting into crunch time. 8 minutes left to go on the clock. So Snyman running out of those chances and maybe feeling a bit less adventurous to go for the moves after the close calls we've seen over the past, lap and a half. If you nearly, if you nearly died 5 times in a 2-minute period, you wouldn't want to go bungee diving now, would you?
Certainly not. You have to very much temper the risk there. I'm sure it feels quite risky for him at this point, but at the same time, he's trying to make up for his losses, get away from Brad Dunn, who's up to 11th now. He's got to try and make inroads on his competitors. They're going to get by some lapped cars coming down to the Hislop chicane, and those lapped cars can also offer chances to try and go on the attack. Actually, looking at it, they're not very far behind Birkenstock and Kaplan, so depending on their pace, maybe they'll want to hold off on a battle if they feel like they can catch these two.
1.8 seconds. That was at 1:34.17.
potential lead, but with the time left to go here, are the drivers really going to hold on their battles? Well, only time will tell, but from my own experience, whenever I'm like,
yo, where's
I think these drivers would probably
Leon
benefit from taking it a little bit easy. It's usually when they don't, as Snyman, they've run into some trouble in his least favorite turn in the whole wide world, and it's great some side-by-side racing right up in front of him. That's some lap cars actually duking it out around him. That was not a loss of spot position-wise that they're on circuit. Let's see, getting very close in through the braking zone, and once again drops it on corner exit. Thankfully, though, is expecting it this time to drop the anchors before anything can get too out of hand. But once again, a driver losing control, trying to stomp on that gas pedal as they headed their way out of Lodge. The exit strategy for that timeshare has not been good.
Sliding all over.
I think he's still got some work to do in that corner based on what we've been seeing. But this is great news for Aguirre because he no longer has that pressure from behind. He can truly focus forward to see if he can now try and get to that 5th position, but it'll take some mighty overtakes with precious little time. About 5.5 minutes to go. And you can see Taplin's coming up towards the final corners right now, so it's likely going to see somewhere in the realm of about 4 laps left on this one. Meanwhile, we continue to follow Birkenstock versus Kaplan for that 5th spot, up 6 positions and 4 positions respectively.
Pay attention to track limits, please, Patrick. 5 minutes
These
to
tires
go.
are
5 minutes left. You have 5 incident points.
And at this point, with 5 minutes left to go on the clock,
I gotta
would
catch these
have to
boys.
say these drivers are just looking to survive. Get the spots when they can, but just be there at the very end to finish first. First, you have to finish. These drivers are looking to finish 5th and 6th, but after a race that has proved to be action-packed for many, fantastic battles throughout this race, but some chaos and craziness breaking out for some as well. They will see this as a victory, so they just want to make it through to the end. And if they do start to battle, it's going to be a harder road for them in the final few laps because Patrick Maguire is not too far behind them, only 1.2 seconds, which in the grand scheme of things, that is a somewhat small gap. So we'll have to see whether this 2-car fight will turn into a 3-car battle here soon. That's Cap losing it a little bit and getting a bit wiggly as he headed his way off through the chicane. Small little moments like that are bringing Aguirre into this more, now a second behind.
Yeah, that last lap was only mildly in favor. Oh, and the lead has changed once again. Carney is now up in the front. Taplin had his turn for a mistake. It was down through Druids, and so Carney gets a second life at this. I think a car just went off. That may have been Garamani there. Sherry Lee gets another black flag, curiously, up at the top of the screen. I don't think that was from the stewards. I think that was from the sim
I need to nail
itself.
these turns. This is a very important turn
I
to get
shouldn't have
right.
said anything about Tim having a nice steady race up to now. Let's see. Oh, did he get help? Well, he may have been distracted, but I think that was a self-made error, and he got the tire barrier.
Oh, and now he's got to worry that Chris Rankovitz at the end of this race can imagine. It was a pretty square hit. The bodywork doesn't look too messed up. I mean, the fender looks scraped, the front bumper looks scraped, the rear bumper looks scraped as well. It's not looking pretty, but it doesn't look like the car is, a bunch of tin cans super glued together running around a racetrack. So that could be a benefit for Taplin, but all in all, it's going to be a very tough conclusion of this race. Drankovic's going to be reeling him in. Taplin also a hit to the confidence as well. That's one thing that those mistakes do that I'm shocked I haven't mentioned up until this point in the broadcast. You got those small little hits towards your confidence, and eventually after a while you just don't have the same vigor and attention to go into these turns with the same aggression that you did earlier on. We look at
starting to get spicy. The broadcast, but it's okay. I can hit the tires.
Pretty much treating that gas pedal as if there's a raw egg underneath it, heading out of the second to last turn. Ever since that initial drama broke out about a half race ago.
Off the pace. That's 2 minutes left. 2 minutes.
Lego.
Stock still being caught slightly by Aguirre. I think it was Aguirre. I think it was by about 2/10 last time by. We'll see what this lap is as they get ready to cross the line. Carney's already gone across. I think he'll get the white flag next time by. And then, of course, we can't forget about Kaplan in front of both of them. He's having to deal with double the pressure. They cross, and it looks like
he's bad at this turn right here.
For Birkenstock over Kaplan, and it was about 2/10 quicker.
Estimate you've got 5 minutes of fuel remaining.
Excuse me, no. Looking at it was.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Oh, it was actually Birkenstock quicker than Aguera that time by. So Birkenstock is the quickest of the three. That said, Aguera still in the hunt. You can see he hasn't dropped off too much.
So Aguera right there to try and pounce and get the move done. I was thinking this battle could turn into a 3-car fight, and here it is, maybe breaking off into a 1 and 2 sort of deal, because John Kaplan maybe going to use this opportunity to say, hey, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. You two have fun. I'm going to look to drive away now. Thank you very much. So Kaplan going to look to try and do that as trying to find any way in the book to get a move done right before the second chicane on the back half of the circuit. Of all the drivers out there on track right now, Joe Birkenstock is maybe the one feeling more pressure than anybody. Yes, even more than Justin Carney in the race lead. All he has to do is pretty much just keep it clean. Birkenstock, meanwhile, the fate's kind of out of his hand right now. It's all about what the drivers around him look to try and do here as we get to the end.
White flag is out for Justin Carney, and yeah, it seemed like Aguera was so much quicker there coming out of the hairpin. I can't believe how much ground he gained. I thought he was going to go for a more aggressive pass on Birkenstock with so little time left. Only a single circuit to try and find his way past that Lego machine. And that is going to be a tough ask. Although it was a poor exit there from Joe, he could leave the door open. He does, but he's far enough ahead. And now on top of it, they approach lap traffic. That's Legault and Eskridge. James is going to pull off to the side. He lets at least one through, two through, 3 is going to be compromised. That's bad news for Patrick, and they're still behind Lisa Eskridge.
Damn it, damn it, damn it.
Traffic, as we expected, going to play a role in this battle, stacking them up a little bit. There's a real tough spot for all parties involved. Both of the drivers trying to get the lapping done, and the lap car trying to jump out of the way. Really no spot to do it on the back half of the circuit.
It's awful close, though. You could tell that Aguera was thinking about it. He wanted to try and get by. He's going to look for it coming down into the chicane, but no dice. Is that the last opportunity, or maybe through Lodge, could he do something? That's exactly where Carney is right now. The 292 thought maybe it slipped through his fingers after he had his mistake, but it was repaid to him as he is going to take the win here today at Oulton Park. Taplin got to be a little bit gutted. It was right there for the taking, but second place is still an excellent race, as Drankovic will get the podium. Meanwhile,
that's my best
Kaplan
finish.
versus Birkenstock versus Aguera. No change of position after a tight and tense battle here at the end. And I want to give a special shout out to Ken Eskridge, 17th to
God damn.
4th
I was
place,
ahead
up
of
13
Ken.
spots. That is utterly unbelievable.
I should have stayed in front of Ken.
Yeah, so through the smoke and the drama of this race, some drivers putting on some mesmerizing drives, and a truly mesmerizing race as well. We could really never have our full hands on it. It's been one that
was fun.
Just through these drivers,
I gotta get better.
Been through us
These
for
guys
a
are
loop
just
as
too
well,
good.
whether it be the battle for the race lead that had more
whiskey.
twists and turns on it than this racetrack itself. Joey, I'm going to say it, this racetrack, despite being one that some of these drivers are maybe looking forward to potentially never seeing again, I would love to see this track return. It's definitely my broadcaster voice saying it's
the third week in a row.
I'm sure if I was out there beyond the wheel, I would absolutely hate this track and never want to come back. But put on some pretty darn good racing.
We have a winner.
Yeah, it had a fantastic show today. And up at the top of it was Justin Carney taking the win over Tim Taplin, who finished P2, Chris Drankovic in third,
and P3. P3 drivers
fourth as John Kaplan, then finished in the top 5. Joe Birkenstock was right behind him at the finish in 6th. Same thing with Aguera there in 7th. Leon Snyman could have maybe been on that podium. 22 seconds adrift instead in 8th. As Sportus was 9th and Vernon Messer wound up in 10th.
Congratulations, you
from there, 11th goes to our points leader, at least coming into this race, Brad Dunn. This one is not going to feel good on that front. Adam
that's all I
Holland
got
is
for you
12th
tonight.
behind him with Bruce Robinson
If you have any
13th,
questions about
and Sean Bailey, and 14th, Hartford Bath was 15th, and then Keith Markson was the last driver on the lead lap, 16th. James Legault was 17th, Lisa Eskridge 18th, and Dave Jones, unfortunately 19th, with what started as a much better race for him. Jim Caramani wound up in 20th, actually gaining a fair bit of spots. Alex Lidback was 21st, Jack Stevenson 22nd, Robert Lay Juan Fong 24th. Les Carmichael, 2 laps down, was 25th. Sherry Lee was 26th, and there on back is your DNFs of Jeff Block, Aubrey Iyer, and Andy McCune. I think we're still waiting a little bit, it looks like, until we see any of our drivers for interviews. Hopefully they'll show up in a moment, but I'm with you, Ron, I really enjoy when the racing comes to this track, and I hope the PCA continues to really challenge drivers with these difficult ones.
I just need to start getting
now
some
we're
coaching.
Starting to see a few of them show up, so glad to see that we'll get some chats here. We'll start with third place with Chris Drankovic as
can I do that?
We drag him in, and
what's going on, brother?
Chris, things started off looking really good. You led for a little bit, and then you fell a little bit backwards. Was it mostly the track, or did the car just lose some of the pace? What do you attribute it to?
I guess probably two things.
Fuck, man.
Tried to run a careful race, so that's probably second or so, and then there were a few times where
coming from
I would try and turn it up and try and catch up, and I think lap times got down a little bit, and then a corner here or there, the nose felt like it would wash out, and then I would say, oh well, something's changed, or it's me, and so that would throw me off. So just trying to be consistent and run a clean race. So not as fast as qualifying, and not as fast as the right out of the gates, but
heartbeat, that peak at 152.
Yeah, talk about coming out of the gates, because you took the lead going the long way around of turn 1. Not what I was expecting.
Was solely
was that a move that just kind of happened to work out, or did you intend to do that?
I think it just sort of happened, and I was trying to give a lot of room,
you're not going to be in the league if you're
cold tires, and so I was thinking, don't use the gas, don't use the brake, and just sort of make it around safely. And I guess that was the faster way.
This is your best finish of the season so far. Do you think you can continue this upswing at
You're gonna go
Suzuka?
VRS or Moza? You might as well go VRS.
I hope
you already
so.
know they're the best.
Never been there in real life. Never been there in
Max
on the computer. So I have a lot of practicing to do. But that's gonna be the goal.
All right. Well, best of luck when you get there, and make sure and put on your rain boots, because it sounds like you're gonna need them.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your help.
Chris Drankovic finishing P2 today, and he was led home by Tim Taplin, who definitely had quite a battle on his hands. I think Ron has caught up with him.
Yeah, and Tim Taplin now joining us here in the broadcast booth. Tim, welcome in. It's a good drive for you throughout P2 at the end. How was it out there?
Tiny. Yeah, it doesn't have
all that. It was good. It was smooth.
The lights and all the glamour.
We had a really nice race because there's 4 of us up there that just kept battling and battling. And
equipment, though.
Nice, clean, a few mistakes here, a few mistakes there. I think Justin's tires went off a little bit after the pit stop, and it was looking good for me. And then I think the only incidences I had were by a lapper maybe that was going off the track and just missed out. But that's my first podium, so I was like
by 5 inches.
I can imagine very pleased. Even with that, it's so easy to do, especially around a racetrack like this where it feels like you're running through an alleyway. A little bit of target fixation can catch you out, but really good performance around this track. I want to ask you about your thoughts on this circuit, because the views have been rather mixed throughout the PCA world. Us up here in the broadcast booth, we really enjoy this racetrack. But how was it for you behind the wheel?
And eat some Yoshi eggs.
This is a track that can.
I think I got hit from behind too. I think I gave me 4
and there's very little space to get around anybody, so there's maybe 2 spots,
guys,
maybe 3 that you can legitimately pass somebody. So it's just kind of it's a patient track. You have to be patient. I spent most of the practice races this whole week just focusing on consistency and patience. And
I'm sure this
I didn't
is the
worry
same
about
thing.
my qualifying time until today.
I don't know what that is in millimeters. Is that what they use? Millimeters?
Certainly a tough nut to crack for you competitors out there on the circuit, but you coped with the challenge brilliantly. P2 at the end. But for the next round of the championship in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be heading off to a far different venture, Suzuka Circuit, with maybe a little bit of rain in the midst as well. What are your thoughts heading there in 2 weeks' time?
That is going to be an interesting challenge.
Let me see if
the rain is the great equalizer,
and
it I mean, Suzuka is challenging enough to begin with. It can catch you,
streaming, so we can.
You can think you had a fast lap and be a second off. It's going to be a real challenge in the rain. We did a practice race there already, and just dealing with the spray with maybe 8 cars on the track was already amazing. So it's going to be quite the challenge. I'm looking forward to it.
I certainly feel bad for Hugo's graphics card. If he'll be in the production truck for that, I'll probably be able to hear that thing whirring even from where I am here in the commentary booth. But Tim, thank you for joining us here in the booth. Well done on the P2, and we'll see you next time out at Suzuka.
Thanks.
Redirect.
And that right there
was Tim on? P2. Bro, nobody's even on.
And that takes us to our winner, Justin Carney, who actually moved himself up into P2 on the first lap. It was starting out great. Things were going great, Justin. Then suddenly you had a little bit of a mistake and lost that lead. Did that not cause you to lose any resolve? Because you did bounce back eventually.